They told you the end of the world would come with fire, trumpets, and the collapse of the heavens. But what if the greatest prophecy wasn't about destruction out there, but a dismantling in here? There is a reason you have felt like a stranger in your own life recently. Why social conversations suddenly taste like ash? Why the things that used to satisfy you, safety, status, noise, now feel like a script you no longer want to read? You aren't depressed. You aren't losing your mind. You are being deactivated from the illusion. For centuries, we were fed a sanitized version of history, but in the Gnostic Gospels, those texts buried beneath the Egyptian sands for 1600 years, there is a hidden code, a specific promise. It says that before the divine light fully returns to this realm, a lost intelligence must awaken inside the human vessel first. Her name is Sophia. This isn't a fairy tale about a goddess. This is the biological blueprint for your soul's evolution. And the hidden teachings of Jesus describe specific precursors to this event. Not stars falling from the sky, but seismic shifts in your own consciousness. Shifts that most people mistake for a mental breakdown but are actually a spiritual breakthrough. If you have felt a pressure building behind your eyes, a refusal to tolerate the fake, then this is your map. We are about to decode the 4 specific signs that Sophia's return is already happening within your nervous system. Welcome back to the truth. Let's begin. Have you ever looked at a crowded street or sat in a meeting and suddenly felt like you were watching a simulation render in real time? For a split second, the solidity of the world wavers. The laughter around you sounds recorded. The ambition everyone is chasing looks like a hamster wheel, and you feel a cold, detached distance from things that used to make you happy. In modern psychology, they might call this derealization, burnout, or a midlife crisis. They would tell you to fix it, to medicate it, to force yourself back into the rhythm of the tribe. But in the ancient view, this is not a malfunction. It is an immunity response. The first definitive sign of Sophia's return is not a vision of angels. It is a sudden, visceral allergy to the superficial. It is your soul rejecting the synthetic food it has been fed for decades. This is the divine feminine wisdom waking up in your blood, and her first action is to make the false taste bitter. Jesus described this exact condition in the Gospel of Thomas. I found them all drunk, and I did not find any of them thirsty. He wasn't talking about wine. He was talking about the trance. The world is drunk on distraction, drama, and noise. You are becoming sober, and sobering up in a drunk world is a lonely feeling. You find you can no longer participate in gossip. You can no longer nod politely at lies. You might try to fake it to keep the peace, but your body physically resists. You feel drained, heavy, almost repulsed by interactions that lack depth. This is the prerequisite of Christ consciousness. Before you can be filled with truth, you must be emptied of the lie. Most people try to numb this sensation. They think something is wrong with them because they no longer fit into the puzzles they used to solve so easily. But listen closely. You are not losing your connection to reality. You are losing your connection to the illusion. You are shedding the skin of the social actor and revealing the spirit underneath. The system, what the ancients called the Archons, relies on your engagement to survive. It needs you to care about things that do not matter. When you stop caring, you stop feeding the matrix. So if you are currently feeling this profound restlessness, this sense that the world is gray and hollow, do not try to fix it. Do not force yourself to love what you have outgrown. This is not depression. It is the pressure of a new intelligence trying to break through the floorboards of your mind. Imagine sitting at a banquet filled with brightly colored food. You eat and eat, but instead of feeling nourished, you only feel sicker, yet somehow still starving. This is the precise condition of the modern soul. For years, you have been trained to chase the next dopamine hit, the next notification, the next purchase, the next fleeting moment of validation. But when the divine feminine intelligence begins to circulate in your system, something fundamental shifts in your biology. The second sign is that meaning becomes louder than pleasure. This is a confusing phase. You might look at your old habits, the video games, the endless scrolling, the late nights chasing temporary highs, and feel a strange disconnect. It's not that you judge these things morally. It's just that they no longer possess the power to hold you. Why? Because Sophia's return is not just about wisdom, it is about resonance. Your internal frequency is changing. In the hidden teachings of Jesus, there is a constant distinction between dead water that makes you thirst again and living water that quenches you forever. You are finally beginning to crave the living water. This is where the path narrows. The world is built to keep you entertained, not awake. Entertainment is easy. It requires nothing from you. But truth requires your presence. You are moving from being a consumer of moments to a creator of meaning. You are no longer willing to trade your life force for things that do not exist 5 minutes later. But how do you navigate this without becoming cynical? You need a tool to break the hypnosis. Try this practice today. I call it the glitch test. The next time you feel the compulsive urge to reach for your phone or to buy something you don't need, stop, look at the object in your hand, and ask yourself this specific question. Is this object possessing me, or am I possessing it? In Gnosticism, matter tries to trap spirit. When you compulsively reach for a distraction, matter is possessing you. By asking this question, you break the loop. You create a tiny wedge of consciousness between you and the autopilot script. When you do this, you are not just breaking a habit. You are signaling to the universe that you are ready to be a master, not a battery. You are preparing the room for the guest to enter. This brings us to the third, and perhaps the most dangerous sign. Dangerous not because it can hurt you, but because it feels exactly like dying. If the first sign is boredom and the second is hunger, the third sign is collapse. You may look in the mirror one morning and not recognize the face looking back. The roles you have played for years, the dutiful child, the successful employee, the peacemaker, suddenly feel like heavy costumes that no longer fit. Relationships that have lasted for a decade might dissolve without warning. Career paths you spent years building might crumble into dust overnight. The world will tell you this is a catastrophe. Your ego will scream that you are failing. But in the hidden teachings of Jesus, this is not failure. This is correction. You see, Sophia does not return to preserve who you think you are. She returns to rescue who you actually are. And for the real you to emerge, the artificial construct must be dismantled. This is the hardest truth to accept. We have all built a false self to survive in the matrix. A version of ourselves designed to please authority, to fit in, and to stay safe from the Archons. The forces of limitation. We polished this mask. We protected it. We thought we were the mask. But when the light of Christ consciousness enters the room, it acts like fire. It burns everything that is not real. It consumes the script you were handed at birth. And that hurts. It hurts because we are addicted to our cages. We prefer a familiar prison to an unknown freedom. But realize this. The confusion you are feeling right now is not the absence of order. It is the beginning of a higher order. You are undergoing a spiritual shedding. Just as a snake must blindly rub against rocks to tear off its old skin, you are being forced against the friction of life to tear off your old identity. You are not falling apart. You are breaking open. This is the moment of the pivot. You stop being the actor performing for an audience, and you become the observer behind the eyes. You begin to realize that you can lose your job, your status, and even your reputation. And you, the eternal spark, the gnosis within, remain untouched. If you are standing in the wreckage of your old life right now, do not mourn it. Do not try to glue the pieces back together. Let it burn. What remains in the ashes is the only thing that was ever real. But before the final sign arrives, there is a hidden phase, a specific test that separates the curious from the chosen. Modern spirituality often ignores this, but you need to know it, because when it happens, you will think you are being punished. I call this phase the archontic pushback. In Gnostic cosmology, the Archons are the forces maintaining the structure of this material reality. Think of them as the immune system of the Matrix. Their job is to keep consciousness low, reactive, and asleep. When you are asleep, you are safe, a cooperative battery. But the moment you start to wake up, the moment Sophia's return initiates within you, you become a glitch, you become visible, and the system reacts. This is why, just as you commit to spiritual growth, chaos often erupts. Your car breaks down. Unexpected bills drain your savings. Electronics malfunction. Strange arguments flare up with people who were previously calm. This is not bad karma. This is resistance. It is the turbulence an object encounters when leaving the atmosphere. Gravity pulls harder just before you break free. The Gnostic Gospels call these forces gatekeepers. These annoying challenges in your life are those gatekeepers manifesting in 3D reality. The mistake most people make is engaging with the chaos. They get angry, they panic. They shout at the sky, asking, "Why is this happening when I'm trying to be better?" But listen closely. The chaos is designed to make you react. The Archons feed on low-frequency emotion, fear, frustration, despair. If they can get you to react, they lower your vibration and pull you back into the script. So how do you pass this gate? How do you handle spiritual warfare in your living room? You do the one thing the system does not expect. You remain the observer. When chaos hits, look at it with the cold, clear eye of wisdom and say, "I see what this is. This is the friction of my exit." Treat these annoyances like storms passing outside a window. You are in the house. The storm is outside. It cannot touch you unless you open the door. This pushback is actually a sign of progress, confirmation that your light is bright enough to cast a shadow. If you weren't a threat to the illusion wouldn't be trying so hard to distract you. Stand your ground. Hold your silence. This turbulence is temporary. Once you withstand this pressure without breaking, the dynamic flips, the resistance stops, and you enter the final state. And now, we arrive at the fourth and final sign, the gate of no return. The sign that marks the difference between a temporary glimpse and a permanent shift is this. You stop bargaining with the illusion. For a long time, the spiritual path feels like a negotiation. You ask, how can I awaken but still keep my old reputation? How can I speak the truth but still be liked by everyone? You are trying to drag your luggage through the eye of a needle. But when Sophia's return becomes embodied, something snaps inside you. The fear of loss simply evaporates. You reach a state of inner sovereignty where you realize, if this relationship must end for me to be real, let it end. If this job must go for me to be free, let it go. This is the ultimate nightmare for the Archons, the forces that maintain the status quo. They cannot control a human being who is not afraid of loss. Their entire kingdom is built on the threat of exile. But once you find the kingdom within, the threat of exile holds no power. Jesus spoke of this in the codes of the New Testament. Whoever seeks to preserve his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will keep it. He wasn't asking for martyrdom. He was describing the physics of consciousness. As long as you are gripping tightly to the false world, Your hands are too full to receive the real one. When this sign hits you, you don't become reckless. You become incredibly calm. You stop reacting to the bait. When the world tries to provoke you into anger, fear, or division, you simply do not participate. You withdraw your energy from the drama. This is the return of true wisdom. You realize that your attention is the currency of the universe. For years, you donated it to things that drained you. Now, you keep it. You invested in your own growth, your own silence, your own creation. And here is the beautiful paradox. When you stop desperately chasing the world starts chasing you. Reality begins to reorganize itself around your new stability. Doors open not because you banged on them, but because you are finally resonant enough to walk through them. You have stopped trying to fix the reflection in the mirror, and you have started changing the face that creates it. You are no longer a battery for the system. You are the glitch that wakes up the others. The Gnostics did not write these texts for the masses. They wrote them for the remnants, for the ones who would be living in the time of the great forgetfulness, needing a reminder of who they truly are. If you have recognized yourself in these signs, the glitch in the matrix, the hunger for substance, the collapse of the false self, and the end of fear, then understand this: you are not having a breakdown. You are having a breakthrough. Sophia's return is not a spectacle that will be broadcast on the news. It is a silent revolution happening in the nervous systems of the called. It happens when you finally decide that the truth within you is more valuable than the illusions around you. We are building a community of those who are ready to remember. If you are ready to leave the nursery of religion and enter the library of Gnosis, signal your intent, like this video to mark your path, and subscribe to join the remnants. Turn on the notification bell, not to be distracted, but to be signaled when a new transmission arrives. And I want to hear your witness. Which of these signs has been showing up in your life recently? Leave a comment below. Your story might be the exact confirmation someone else needs to keep going. Now, before you go, let us seal this wisdom into your cells so it doesn't fade when you close this screen. Close your eyes for just a second. Take a deep breath. And say this silently to yourself, as a code to your own subconscious. I am the open door. I am the place where wisdom remembers herself. I am awake. The return is not coming. It is already here, looking through your eyes. Watch this video next to understand the specific traps the Archons use to put you back to sleep. The light is yours to keep.